Back in October last year, I sat in this very spot wearing this very same beanie knitted for me by the lovely Glenys Hipwell, and I introduced you to Ecoflow and this particular model, the Ecoflow River. Now, 7 months on, I'm back to tell you all about it, what I do like about it, what I don't like about it, and how I've used it. Jeez, that was a big fish. Now firstly, before I start, a brief overview on the Ecoflow River. Basically, this is like a power pack on steroids. You know those little power packs that you plug your phone into a USB and you charge it up? This is like one of them, but much, much bigger. It's got a light on here. It's got a readout which tells you how many hours it's got left, how much percent. At the moment it's 96%, and I've got 99 hours worth of use because I've got nothing plugged into it. It's got 3 USBs, including a fast charge USB. It's got a USB-C. It's got here a cigarette adapter, which I use a lot, and I'll tell you all about that shortly. It's got a couple of these other little DC 12-volt DC outlets, and it's got 2 wall sockets at the end. Now this particular model, the River, is a 600 watt model, so I can plug anything in there that uses up to 600 watts, although I haven't actually needed to do that. Now, I'm going to tell you how I've used this, and then I'm going to tell you the things that I do and don't like about it. Mostly I've used this to run an Engel fridge. I bought myself an Engel fridge. It's only a small one, but it's this one. It's a 14 litre Engel, and it runs off the cigarette adapter on there. Now, while 14 litres might not seem very big, because I don't have to put I was wondering why it was so heavy. Because I don't have to put ice bricks in there, it actually holds a lot. I can put quite a lot of stuff in there. Now, this Ecoflow River has what's called pass-through charging, meaning that I can charge it. There's 3 ways I can charge it. I can charge it solar panel, I can charge it from a wall socket, or I can charge it 12 volt from the cigarette lighter. And it has what's called pass-through charging. So while it's charging, I can use it complete. I can run anything off it, charge anything while it's actually taking charge. So what I do, I set this on the floor of my car in the passenger seat when I'm on my own. I plug it into the cigarette lighter of my car so that it's always charging as long as the car's running, and I run my Engel fridge off it through the 12 volts. So rather than running the Engel straight off the car, which means that the Engel will stop working when I stop the car, I run it off this. So I sit this on the floor and it runs the Engel fridge. Now, a while back there I went to Lake Hume. I left early in the morning. For those that saw the video, this is the day that I had the ABC reporter at the end of my interview that told me she didn't like fishing, so I cut her off. That day, that was a joke. That day, I left home about 6 o'clock in the morning. This was only on about 60 or 65% from memory, but it was fully charged by the time I got there. It ran my Engel fridge the whole time on the way, and the whole time I was driving up, and it filled up with charge while I was there. I then turned the car off. I fished for about 4 hours, and when I got back, or when I went to start the car again, this was still on over 80%. So it only lost about 20% while running the Engel for 4 hours. It kept my drinks cold, and I was able to put some fish in it and whatnot. And then as soon as I started the car and headed home, before I'd even got a quarter of the way home, it was back up to 100% again. Back in, I think it was February or March this year, I went to Lake Epilogue with John Croxford. I caught a 44 centimetre redfin. Same thing, had this on the floor of the car. I ran my Engel, and I was fully charged when I arrived at Lake Epilogue. John and I probably fished for 6 hours or more in the boat at Lake Epilogue. We fished until well after lunch, and then when I got back to the car, this was still on nearly 70%. Fridge was running, drinks were cold. It hadn't even drained 30%. So then from there I went to the Waranga Basin, and by the time I got to the basin, that was fully charged again, and the fridge had ran the whole time. So that's how I use it the most when I'm on big long road trips for running my fridge. I also use it a lot for charging camera batteries. My wife Loretta is an absolute shocker for forgetting to charge her batteries, and her battery for her Canon R5 doesn't have a USB charger. My Sony battery does. I can charge it off there or any power pack, but she needs a wall socket. So I've used these a lot to charge her batteries on the go, and when we've been on road trips with both the kids, I've got 2 daughters, this is an absolute godsend. I've seen them both charging their phones at the same time and a set of noise cancelling headphones the whole time, and then when our batteries are flat we can just plug it in. One of the beauties of this is that it charges very, very quickly. I can put this on the charger for half an hour. It won't fully charge it, but it'll charge it up around about 80% or something in half an hour, and that's enough to charge several mobile phone batteries throughout the day. So if we're heading somewhere and we've forgotten to charge things up, just chuck this on for half an hour before we go, and that'll give us ample power. Or better still, plug it into, this is it here. Plug it into the power, the cigarette lighter of the car, and charge it while we're in the car anyway. So when I'm in the car, basically, this little yellow clip goes in there. That goes into the cigarette lighter of the car. This, and I'll plug this in now so I can give you a demonstration. This goes into the cigarette lighter of the Ecoflow, and it'll go into the side of my Engel fridge, which I'll plug in right now. And I'll turn it right down fully cold. You've got to turn it on under here. Away it goes. It's just started running. I heard it start vibrating. I'm in the pretty bad lighting here, aren't I? Right, now that's now powering my Engel, no worries at all. And with this, I would suspect that it will run for around about 12 hours or so, maybe a little bit more even. And I can actually buy a power pack to put underneath this to double the capacity and make everything run for twice as long. And there are bigger models which you can check out on their website, and there'll be links below to that. Now, so they're the things that I've used it for. I use it mostly to run my Engel fridge when I'm in the car, and to charge my camera batteries and my phone batteries and stuff while I'm out in the field. I have used it to run my laptop and power my laptop. Sometimes when I'm out in the field, I'll edit my videos while I'm out in the field, and I do that a lot when I'm yabbing and crayfishing. I'll put the nets in, check them in half an hour. In that half an hour, I'll jump on my laptop and start editing video footage so that I don't have to do it when I get home that night. And I run my laptop off my Ecoflow while I'm doing that. That's come in very handy for that. And I've also used it to make ice with my Engel again, because my Engel goes right down to below freezing, and I've used it to make ice slurries when I'm cooking yabbies. I'll put a dish of water in there, crank the Engel up full bore so that it gets really cold and starts freezing the ice, smash the ice, and there's an ice slurry that I can put my yabbies in, and they'll go to sleep. And I do all that with the Ecoflow. So they're the cool things about it. But there are a couple of things that I don't particularly like about it. But before I tell you about them, I've just got to quickly tell you about the sale. Ecoflow have a sale right throughout the month of June where there is 15 to 20% off everything in the store. Check on the link in the video description below to the Ecoflow website, and during the month of June you'll find everything is marked down. And on top of that, they have kindly, I negotiated this with them in order to make this video, they've given me a discount code so that you can get a further 5% off. It's Robbie EF5. It was going to be Robbie 5, but their computer software required they needed at least 8 digits. So Robbie EF5, Robbie Ecoflow 5, that will give you 5% off, and that discount code is only available or applicable during the sale during June. Anyway, that's said and done. Let me tell you about the things that I'm not so keen on. There's only a couple. One thing I don't like about it, and I can't work out why this does this, I've got an idea. When I run my Engel, it doesn't give me an accurate reading of how much power it's using. It bounces all over the shop. In fact, what I'll do, I'll film a bit with my phone so that you can see. You'll see here while it's running the Engel, you can see down here, that should just say, you know, there's drawing 20 watts or 8 watts or 72 watts, but it bounces all over the place. Now that is only with the Engel and nothing else. It doesn't do it with any camera batteries, doesn't do it with my laptop. I've even plugged my home fridge in and run it for over an hour, and it doesn't do it with the fridge. But it does do it with the Engel fridge, and I plugged my dad's Engel in. He's got a much bigger Engel, 30 litres or 40 litres or something, and it does the same thing with his. So I suspect that it's an issue with the Engel. It's not even an issue, but I suspect that it might be to do with the certain compressor that Engel use in their fridges. So if you've got an Ecoflow and you're running an Engel, don't be surprised if it does that. It's important to state though that it doesn't affect the quality, it doesn't affect the performance. It still runs well, it still drains the power at the same speed. There's no problem at all. The problem is with the display, and it's also, I think, mostly with the Engel. It doesn't do it with anything else. So that's one gripe that I have. And the other gripe that I have is that I was caught off guard a bit. I bought a compressor, something else I've used it for, to run an aerator to keep my shrimp alive, and I've been fishing over at Lake Nillacuti back in the springtime. The compressor it draws 1.5 watts. This particular model, the River, is 278 kilowatts. So 1.5 watts, that should essentially run for about 150 hours. It didn't even run for 30. It ran for about 28 or 30 hours and then it was flat. What happens, the unit actually draws power. It takes power to be on. Just being on draws power. So that caught me off guard. If something says that it runs for 278 kilowatts, well, it'll probably run for 1 hour because it's only on for 1 hour. But when you get really small devices that require the unit to be on for a long period of time, they may not last as long as you think they're going to last. So they're the only two gripes that I've had. When Ecoflow sent me this to review last year, they sent me the big solar panels, which I lent up against this little barbecue in the background over here, and I set it all up and it worked a treat. I haven't used them once, but that's because I haven't been camping. I'm actually going camping in the next couple of weeks. I don't think that I'll need them, but I'll take them just in case. I'm only going for one night when I'm going crayfishing, but I think if I was going for more than one night, that would be a necessity. They certainly work very well, but I just haven't used them. And Ecoflow has an app. I can control the I can look at my app now and see how much power it's drawing, how much it's got left, how it's working. I used it to set it all up, but I haven't actually used it since. For some people, it might be worth it might be a selling point if you're a caravan and you want to make sure that it's working okay. But for me, I haven't actually used it. So my main use has been to run my Engel fridge, charge all my batteries for my cameras and my mobile phones, and I have used it for a few other odds and ends, such as editing on my laptop and producing ice in my Engel. Anyway, folks, overall, I have been very, very satisfied with the Ecoflow River. This was sent to me, but if I wanted one, I wouldn't hesitate to buy one because I think it's awesome. Hopefully this has given you a bit of insight to it, and if you've got one and you've run an Engel and you've noticed it's dancing around a little bit on the display, well, hopefully this has clarified why that might be doing that. Thank you, Ecoflow, for sponsoring this video, and thank you so much to everyone else for watching this video.